Everyone, A24's latest film, Parthenope, is out, and it is nothing short of a cinematic puzzle, being both visually mesmerizing and really thematically elusive. I'll admit, this one had me baffled a little bit in the theater, but as I thought about it afterwards, some really interesting things did start to float to the top. And that's what we need to talk about with this film. First, please be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. More than a conventional narrative, Parthenope operates kind of as a metaphor, an abstract meditation on beauty and disruption and time. It is a visual experience that will either captivate you or just kind of leave you feeling a bit adrift, depending on how you're willing to surrender to the rhythm of the film. At its core, Parthenope tells the story of a young woman of extraordinary beauty whose mere presence disrupts the world around her. Her stunning appearance becomes both her gift and her curse. People don't just see her. They become consumed by her. Yet, despite this constant attention, she remains emotionally disconnected, unable to truly grasp happiness, comfort, and meaningful intimacy. And over time, she attempts to find meaning, forging an understanding of herself and the world, though never really quite becoming a part of it. The film follows her journey from youth to old age, examining how beauty and novelty and presence shift over time, but always keeping her really at a distance from the life that she wants to grasp. This is really the epitome of an art house film because it is not a narrative-driven story in the traditional sense. Instead, Parthenope unfolds kind of like a dream. It's fleeting and it's ephemeral and it's resistant to easy interpretation. It's filmed primarily in Italian with subtitles, aside from a handful of English language scenes involving an American character. So, for non-Italian speakers, I kind of think one of its challenges will likely be keeping up with the subtitles. In addition to the on-screen imagery, the actress playing Parthenope is so striking that she really commands every scene, making it difficult to balance watching her with following the subtitles. Yet, this kind of might be intentional. The film, it almost dares you to give into its visuals, letting the dialogue just kind of slip away in favor of the hypnotic effect of the cinematography. That said, when the words do matter, they come in key moments that include conversations with the American, whose lines really guide Parthenope and her budding self-awareness, I guess is maybe the best way to put it, along with the scenes with the professor who acts more as a father figure than her actual father. These relationships offer glimpses into meaning in an otherwise detached existence for her, mirroring her own struggle to hold on to something real amid the overwhelming fixation that others have with her. Visually, Parthenope as a film is breathtaking, with an eye toward crafting every shot to emphasize Parthenope as the film's artistic centerpiece. This devotion to form over function makes the film a fascinating study in cinematic beauty, but it also contributes to its sense of distance by making her an object of study more than a compelling character. As a result, the film really feels like this lyric poem in a visual form that is something to be experienced rather than understood. And that's where the metaphor comes into play. The film It isn't just about a woman. It's about the nature of disruption itself, with Parthenope standing in as the disruptor. In her youth, she is a force of nature. She is something new, dazzling, and powerful, yet impossible to fully grasp.
Are you aware of the disruption your beauty causes?
I'm starting to suspect something.
Her beauty, it's almost supernatural. It's a phenomenon, unsettling those around her, much like any disruptive force that enters the world before it is fully understood. She does not merely exist within the world, she bends it around her, affecting lives in ways she never really intended. But as she ages, her disruptive nature does not disappear, but it does transform. She no longer is the beautiful woman or the most novel woman in the room. While she remains compelling, yes, the impact of her presence shifts from a force that once shattered into a force that steadies. And it's in this way that the film isn't just about her, it's about how all great disruptions eventually stabilize, folding into the fabric of the world until they become part of the very systems they once unsettled. Her later role as an anthropologist studying the impact of miracles, it's no accident. It's a reflection of her own journey. Once perceived as miraculous herself, she now seeks to understand the very forces she embodied. She becomes the observer rather than the catalyst, a witness to disruption rather than its cause, and the teacher instead of the student. This shift mirrors how society absorbs and normalizes what once seemed extraordinary, whether it be a miracle, a groundbreaking technology, a revolutionary idea, or even love itself. And that's what makes Parthenope such an evocative meditation on change. That's what makes it a metaphor. The film's structure invites different interpretations, each threading through this cycle of disruption and stability. One interesting lens, though, is technology. You knew I was going to go there. More specifically, artificial intelligence. AI is, in many ways, the Parthenope of our time. It's dazzling, it's disruptive, and it's consuming everything in its wake. The world is obsessed with it, trying to harness its power without fully understanding it. And like Parthenope in her youth, AI does not truly understand us either. It merely exists, affecting everything around without deeply connecting to it. But one day, AI too will age, and it will become commonplace, woven into our daily lives, no longer a disruptor, but a tool. Just as Parthenope transitions from an unknowable force of nature to an academic who studies the very mystery she once represented. Alternatively, Parthenope could be a meditation on love, the kind of all consuming, overwhelming passion that takes over one's life. In its early stages, love is intoxicating, disrupting everything. But as time passes, it evolves into something steadier, more knowing, but perhaps just a little less earth shattering. In the film, this allows for a kind of interpretation, encouraging viewers to project their own meaning onto its structure and to explore any number of concepts and topics through its form as a metaphor. So, despite all of this, Parthenope suffers from one major flaw: its length, clocking in at well over 2 hours. It overstays its welcome. The director could have easily trimmed 30 minutes while maintaining the same hypnotic effect. The film isn't disjointed, but it does meander. And at times it feels like the director was so in love with the imagery and so captivated by Parthenope herself that he just couldn't cut a single scene. And this indulgence results in a film that, while visually mesmerizing, can feel repetitive and just a bit exhausting. And that's where the frustration lies. Watching Parthenope, you just keep waiting for the narrative to pay off, and that narrative never arrives. It is a story form without a story function. As a result, it is just a frame for a metaphor rather than a complete story, which leaves the feeling of confusion and dissatisfaction alongside with the feelings of visual delight. While some viewers will revel in this kind of artistic abstraction, others are just going to leave the theater unsure what they just watched and why. Parthenope, it is not for everyone. Those who love art house cinema, films designed as intellectual puzzles, and visually driven storytelling that defy traditional narratives will likely see Parthenope as a cinematic brainchild. It's brain candy in that way. The metaphor is compelling. The cinematography is stunning, and the film, it provides plenty of room for interpretation. But for those who prefer a clear narrative and coherent character arcs, this will likely be a frustrating experience. It's beautiful, sure, but it's elusive. But like Parthenope herself, if you go into Parthenope expecting a traditional story, you will be disappointed, I promise. If you view it as an experience, something to be felt rather than fully understood, you just might walk away feeling a bit mesmerized, even if you can't quite explain why. Thanks so much, everyone. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share with a friend. All right, that's it for now. And if you did see this film, if you're thinking about seeing this film, I would love to know what you are thinking about it. And if you saw it, and especially if you don't speak Italian, I would really love to know what your impression of this film was. It's really different from The Count of Monte Cristo, but it is beautifully put together. So, just kind of interested in your take on this film. And while you're here, be sure to check out one of these other reviews. Thanks so much, everybody. I will see y'all again soon. Bye for now.